Yeah, I'll go with the Denver Broncos here, and I want to know, why are you afraid of your quarterback? That's my question for the Denver Broncos. So I have no, by the way, just as a table setter, I have no symmetry in terms of, am I asking the team questions? Am I asking a question aloud? This is one I'm asking the Denver Broncos. Why are you afraid of your quarterback? Sean Payton has expressed a ton of faith in Bo Nix since they drafted him. A ton of faith. Basically, when they drafted him, basically implied that the rest of the league was stupid for not seeing what he saw in Bo Nix, and continues to say that he's a great quarterback and all this. And they treat him with kid gloves, and I think the opposing team on Sunday, which, good Lord, had more than their fair share of problems in the New York Jets, and we're not talking about them in the contender section, that's for sure. But they treated this Denver offense like they weren't afraid of them. Even that the completely mind-numbing, outrageous 2-minute drill at the end of the first half, which is one of the most bizarre sequences I've ever seen in an NFL field.
Yes.
But essentially the thesis there was, well, we just didn't want to give the ball back to the Broncos. I don't know. So I don't know. Whatever. Let me not go down the Jets lane here. But again, when you just watch the Denver
Jets just got tossed into not talking about you for a while pile. They're
all right. Cool.
They got, I wouldn't say it's a ban, but it's kind of a soft ban for them for a little bit.
I didn't get the memo, so I'm glad you told me that.
Oh, no, I'm just saying it for the first time, so don't worry. The football 301, that's just where I'm instituting it right now. There's no more talking about an interesting run game. Fields looking better. No. You guys get a soft ban for a few weeks.
I think that's for the best. Anyways, on the Broncos, again, when you watch the offense right now, they cut the field a lot with a lot of these bootlegs. There was a 3rd and 10 play where they just ran the ball, don't even try to get into a real dropback situation. And I think they're kind of still trying to figure out their receiver personnel. Like Troy Franklin has been the number 2. He's kind of been a hitter. Honestly, he looks a lot like the player he was as a prospect, is a separator and interesting with the ball in his hands at times, but makes real mistakes at the catch point. They haven't really got Pat Bryant going yet. Marvin Mims is just a gadget guy. There hasn't really been any true development there, I would say, beyond Cortland Sutton. So when you take away Sutton, that's it. There's just nothing really there. And I don't think they call the plays as if they do not trust the quarterback with all the screens and all the half field reads. And it's just, to me, why is that? Is this they actually don't believe in Bo Nix, or is this what Sean Payton wants to be as an offensive play caller right now, which I also think is confusing, because that's not really what I think the best stuff of this offense. And when they really do get into some dropback situations and can hammer those in-breaking routes to Cortland Sutton, it looks really good. It's just everything else leaves me wanting more. So to me, it doesn't look like an offense that I would have faith in right now being a real contender. And it bothers me a little bit that that's how the coaching staff is treating it as well.
They're playing not to make a mistake, which is not what I kind of envisioned. Sean Payton is so aggressive as a play caller. How many shot plays he calls, how many is hey, not even just going on 4th down, but just it's 3rd and 1. We're not even just running the ball. Here's a play action. And I think, but to me, it just feels like what you're getting at is just it does feel like they're just tight right now. They're 28th in success rate right now, which is not where I expected this offense to be. Yeah, it's not a good offense round. DVOA, they're 18th. So, but I was expecting this offense to be easily in the top half, where it was a pretty average or better run game, slightly above average run game, 12th-ish, 10th-ish, and then a passing game that's kind of a little volatile because of Bo Nix, but also can get those shot plays. But there's just no consistency. They don't take, there's one thing that Bo Nix does well at is he does not take sacks. But the detriment of all that is that he passes up a lot of opportunities as a thrower because his eyes come down and then he scrambles. He's a good scrambler, but he looks to scramble, looks to run, but then it's not running to throw and make a big play. It's running to pump fake 3 times and then running out of bounds. It's avoiding sacks, but he's stepping up and turning his shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage, which is always scary for me when I see quarterbacks doing that. Jalen Hurts does it a lot. because that to me means you want to be in flow. You want to have that shoulder pointing at the line of scrimmage because that's how you have to throw. You turn your shoulders when it's like, okay, I have to open up and there's maybe a crossing route that I have to change my arm angle. People watching on YouTube can see this a little bit better, but changing my arm angle so where I can throw it sidearm and everything. Bo Nix turns and his feet are all out of whack. And then as soon as I see that, I'm like, hold on to your hat, because you're not sure where the ball is going to go. You're not sure if he's going to scramble. You're not sure how the accuracy is going to go. And I'm with you where it's like, I thought there'd be some next step. Even if I'm not the biggest Bo Nix fan, I thought there'd be some next step to this offense. And it just feels worse than actually how last year felt.
It feels worse,
the second half of last year felt. When they really can. And some of that is, you mentioned cutting off the field. This is why I know everyone thinks the play action knob, you just crank it up. And why don't you run play action every play? Why don't you move the pocket every play? Because it limits what you can run passing concept wise. And this is Sean Payton, who's got everything in the bag. Everything in the back. He runs every concept, every passing concept, every protection, every run concept. So the fact that he's like, no, I'm running the same half field, they call it dash pass, extended sprint out, big sprint out concepts, 2-man routes, 3-man routes. All right. And those 3-man routes, they're only running overs and corners and flats because you're running the routes to the side of the sprint out. Well, as a defense, all right, I'm going to treat that like a bootleg. All right, cool. All right, we got the flat. Someone carries the over. Nix isn't throwing it deep. Get ready for the scramble, or get ready for something. Now you're taking away rock and paper, and you're just throwing scissors all the time. And over time, good defenses are going to go, okay, you'll get us once in a while when you do throw a rock, but we'll just bet that you're going to throw scissors again, and we'll just keep pounding it with our rock over and over again. And that's what their passing game feels like. In the run game, they had an injury. Powers was out. Dobbins is fine, but again, they need a run game to help everything out right now, because I think the pass game is inconsistent. Pass catcher wise, I still think they have so many young guys. They're sorting that out. Evan Ingram's kind of just been a nothing in this offense. It is, like you said, Sutton or bust. They're getting RJ Harvey going a little bit and trying to figure out how to use him. But again, it just feels like everything is designed. They played the Chargers, and I think we stated this was in the preview show. It's like, it comes down to those 5-6 shot plays that Sean Payton calls. If you can defend them, you can withstand this offense. So it's like, he's going to throw those half dozen haymakers. If you can withstand those, all right, we don't bet that you can run 55 other successful plays over and over again. So I'm with you. I'm expecting something because the defense is really rolling right now. And I was like, all right, the run game will at least be good to complementary football. But I agree with you that the passing game is just not consistently explosive, not consistent overall. And I'm curious what their next step is too as well. It's a good question, Matt Harmon. As we take our first break, over a half hour into this show, hell yeah, we will be coming back with a few more questions for contending teams. All right, we are back. And because this is the official National Jaguars podcast, we both have questions for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, me and Matt just separately picked questions on different teams, and we only had 2 teams that we overlapped on, and this is one of them, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to let you start, actually, because that performance against the Seahawks, as good as we were feeling after Monday Night Football against that Chiefs team, Seahawks was kind of like, this is a lot of the questions before the season were rearing their ugly heads. So what is your question for the Jaguars right now?
Yeah, I think our 2 questions kind of go together here completely unintentionally. But yeah, for me, this is definitely one of those questions where I'm not asking the team. I'm more asking existentially, asking the room here. Is it just going to be the same old over the course of the season in the passing game? Because, man, it was so frustrating in this game in Seattle where Trevor's Trevor. I don't even know. We can go down the Trevor road, but he's Trevor. Okay.
That was a bad Trevor. That was like a bad average Trevor game where it was just like he was spraying early. He gets to, whatever. Keep going. Sorry. I don't
no, it's so funny. Like he actually is, he actually is the perfect sort of prime meridian quarterback in the NFL right now because he actually does only, in my personal opinion, you can feel free to disagree with me on this. I feel like he consistently hovers somewhere between 18th and 13th best quarterback in the league. So he's kind of hovering in that range. And sometimes it's a better than average Trevor game, and sometimes it's below. It's never horrendous and it's never excellent, throughout
there's never 4
wire
quarters
to
of
wire.
perfection. Yeah, wire to wire. Yep, exactly.
Whereas like Kirk Cousins, when he was the prime meridian of the court, he'd have a month where he was the 5th best quarterback in the league, and a month when he was the 25th best quarterback in the league. So, but yeah, Trevor just kind of like hovers right in this range here. This was definitely one of those where he's right hovering around 18th or something. So that's just Trevor. He is what he is. And we'll see if that changes over the course of the season for whatever reason. But just from the way the passing game feels, I definitely just want more. I'm every single week I leave here wanting more. I think they've done a really good job working around Brian Thomas Jr.'s issues, as we've talked about. I feel like I've talked about ad nauseum this year, which is going over the middle of the field and working against zone coverage and consistently catching the football, fighting through contact. There's a lot of good plays on the film from this past week, which is like, yeah, this is why he's a really talented player. And they've done a really good job of saying, all right, you're not really great at this stuff right now. Let's put you more on the boundary and have you go a lot against press coverage, because that's where he's best. And he responded with some really good plays. And then there's 2 horrendous plays in critical moments where he's working over the middle of the field, because you can't just not have your wide receiver 1 work over the middle of the field in today's NFL, especially in this offense. Travis Hunter, season high route participation, air yards per target under 4. I see plenty of plays where he's open downfield and he's just never getting the ball on those plays, at least not consistently. And then he's still a mess operationally. He's offsides, gets the touchdown called back. So it's just, I've seen enough of him like raising his hands whenever Trevor Lawrence changes the play, and then
looks at the sideline. He has the receiver coach what he has. It happens every time. I know. Yeah, sorry, but that's real. That's very real. Yeah.
Every game, and that's just, is that just going to be the way it is all season? Again, are you going to consistently have these issues with your number 1 receiver? They get some nice moments out of the role players, right? Parker Washington, I've said, really nice role player. The run game has been pretty good this year, but then it all kind of fell apart leading into your question here up front in this past game. So you can take it away there, but that's just my kind of just, is it going to be this way all year, or is there at some point the light turns on?
I know they go and they play in London this week against the Rams.
Yeah.
Fun appointment.
Soft landing spot.
Opponent. Yeah. And then they got their bye week and then come back with the Raiders. So it's like, all right, can you put together 4 quarters of good against the Raiders? And my question, it was something that it's been in the back of my mind since the beginning of the season. And I know people have been sharing pressure stats and yards before contact. The O-line is like, it's not even a question. It's more just like more of a statement, more of an observation. They allowed over a 50% pressure rate against the Seahawks. And again, the Seahawks have a badass defensive line. So, but that's the thing. If you want to be a contender, you're going to face some badass defensive lines in the playoffs. Like, that's how it goes. So that's the main concern, because I just don't know if an injury happens, which it did, Robert Hainsey was out. All right, now we're playing a 7th round rookie at center. If someone else gets hurt, what's the depth? I know they took the guy from Willem from West Virginia. He's fine. It could be kind of like a backup plugger. I'm trying to figure out exactly what his best spot is in the NFL. But just like looking at this whole unit, I mean, it was Walker Little allowed 13 pressures. And I just was surprised that it was just not a lot of chip help was going his way. It felt like actually there was a little bit, and LaQuinn Allen had one chip where he made one of the Seahawks defenders rise up about 5 yards. But it was just that's been my biggest concern. If you guys get into a deficit and you have to truly drop back, and you can't do, Liam Cohen, when they have a good game script, which they've had a lot of good game scripts this year. I think they've been more in the lead than any team in the NFL this year. All right, now I can't get to the screens all the time. I can't get to the play action stuff. I can't get to, we're under center. We're using the jet motion stuff and everything to, present the eye candy. And so when we get into this deficit, we just have to drop back. I do think Trevor can handle that, but I don't think the O-line can handle it. And especially if we have to attack deep, well, then we have to hold the ball for longer than 3 seconds. And you saw Trevor a couple times where when there's some coverage stuff happening, he was like, okay, I'm one and done. Because he also doesn't trust Travis Hunter yet, which you just mentioned too. There's some pre-snap stuff. There's a couple 3rd downs I've noticed. He did it in a good way. And then I think in the Seahawks was the bad way. Good way against the Chiefs, bad way against the Seahawks was, all right, number 1's covered. Trevor's just going to scramble. I'm just going to run.
Yeah.
And there's a couple times where Travis Hunter is popping open, but I think Trevor's gone I don't know if he even knows the route. So am I going to trust him on third down, or can I just run for this and just take it out of their hands? They're trying to find that balance. I do think there will be a bump after again, this is going to be a good bye week team because there's so much pre-snap stuff happening. And we talked about a bunch, how many illegal shifts they get, illegal formations they get. Do think that'll clean up. It's a young skill position group. But I do think that the O-line is still my biggest concern because it's like, I know they played better, and I kept saying this, and I'm saying for the 100th time, they're playing better, but they're not good. And again, that's where it really showed against the Seahawks defensive line that could actually get after them, and just doing it with some simulated, some 4-down stuff. It's a big, big concern for me, even if I do like other parts of what's going on. So I think we're in the same spots. Like, I want to see them after the bye week. Do they clean this stuff up? Does Travis Hunter get the playbook going? And then we can maybe see that next step from the offense. But inconsistent Jags is how I'll kind of put it.